The Florida Podcast Network, the voice of Florida.
This is Gerard with episode number 36 of Florida's Fresh Mix on the Florida Podcast Network, a random mix of Florida's freshest personalities listening.
Hello, Fresh Mixers. Welcome to Florida's Fresh Mix podcast. We are so happy that you decided to tune in and listen to our beautiful voices. My name is Amber, and I am the lead content producer of the Florida Podcast Network. Gerard is your host, and he's with me right now. What's up, Gerard?
Well, I didn't realize I had a beautiful voice until you just said so. So I'll take that.
You don't think you have a beautiful voice?
Well, I don't know.
You have a nice voice.
I try to be, humble, but facts are facts.
I don't know if Gerard and humble go in the same sentence.
Look, it ain't bragging if it's true. That's all I'm saying. So you've heard me say that, and you will probably hear me say that in this interview. So
it's a fair point. Point. All right, people. I feel like I say this for pretty much every episode, and I mean it wholeheartedly when I do say this. This is a great conversation, okay? Folks, you are in for a treat. This conversation is packed with insight, inspiration, and a lot of laughs. You all were laughing a lot on this one.
Yeah.
It's so fun. It really is. Okay, so the guest is Mary Kearney. Miss Mary Kearney. She is the owner and creative director of All About Entertainment 156. She's also the host of the Boom in Your Face podcast, which is a show that features up-and-coming indie artists of all genres. And she features some experts in there as well, talking about, I guess, whatever she wants to talk about. And it's really cool. You all should check it out. We'll have links in the show notes. Yeah, Gerard, this was yet again a fun, entertaining conversation.
I love the fact that she was booming my face because she does not hold back. She's got a great backstory. She has so many nuggets of wisdom to drop. And at the end of the day, she does what she does with honesty and specificity and competence. And she's very genuine. That is the number one thing that I took from this interview. And damn, she's funny. Like it's hard to I was listening to this comedian, Daniel Tosh, who's one of my favorite comedians. And he was like, have you ever tried to frown on a wave runner? I was like, no, I've never been able to frown on a wave runner. And I felt like I was riding a wave runner talking to Mary because I could not frown. She's so funny that there's no way to not be happy with speaking to her. So I loved it. And you'll get to hear more about why I feel that way. It's so palpable. It was great.
Absolutely. No, I mean, that I could tell, just you were smiling through the whole interview, and listeners, you will be able to tell that for sure. But before we dive into that interview, let's handle some business. Gerard, this is your time to shine. Well, I guess your time to let your favorite nonprofit shine.
It's time for me to shine a spotlight on a charity that I very much believe in, and so does the producer of this show and everybody involved, which is Guitars Over Guns, based here in Miami, which I'm on the board of directors of, and also in Chicago, and also newly expanding to Los Angeles. So Guitars Over Guns is a charity that I'll speak more succinctly about later in the episode. But in short, it's all about the kids and teaching kids how to produce music. And this is a very music-oriented episode talking with Mary. And so it all ties together in a beautiful way. So I'm not even going to get too much into it, but go to the link in the show notes and contribute. All right, that's my plug.
Great plug. That was great. All right, one more piece of business before we get into your conversation, Gerard. People, we are on the hunt for sponsors. So if you own a business, or if you know someone who owns a business or company that serves the state of Florida, we would love to feature you as one of our sponsors. Get your name out there, you want to, and we can help you do that. Please email Jaime at flintstonemedia.com And that's spelled Jaime. Or you can email me at amber@flintstonemedia.com. And I'm sure you can figure out how to spell Amber. But yeah, let's work together. Let's continue to make great content. And like I said, let's get your name out there.
I'd love to, promote our sponsors and anything that has to do with uplifting Florida businesses and Florida people and Florida personalities. This podcast is about positivity. Come on, join us, and we'll promote the hell out of you. All right.
Oh,
I
yeah.
use the word hell because I didn't want you to have to bleep something.
Exactly. All right. Now let's get into this episode. You will hear from Mary Kearney, the one and only host of Boom in Your Face podcast, owner and creative director of All About Entertainment 156.
Boom.
In your face.
Okay, folks. So today we are here with Mary Kearney. Is it Kearney or Kearney?
It's Kearney.
Kearney. Okay. All right. Because you're definitely not corny. You're Kearney. All right.
That's right.
So we're here with Mary Kearney from All About Entertainment 156 and the Boom in Your Face podcast. How's it going today, Mary?
It is going well, and thank you for having me. How's it going for yourself?
I'm doing really well. We're recording this in the afternoon, so I've got most of my boring work day as a lawyer almost over, but not really. I gotta.
Mm-hmm.
This is a nice break. I love doing this.
This is your hobby.
It's my hobby. I wish I could do this full time. I wish if I could get paid by doing this the same as I get paid as a lawyer, man. Shoot, that would be a no-brainer, wouldn't it?
Well, let us work on that so we can get to that goal together. How about that? We'll pray on it.
I like that. Oh, yes. Please pray hard. Please pray hard.
Mm-hmm,
All right. Excellent. So listen, first question is there a difference between All About Entertainment 156 and the Boom in Your Face podcast? Are they affiliated? What's the deal there? I want the audience to know exactly what the deal is.
Well, that's a great question because All About Entertainment 156 is the umbrella to Boom in Your Face podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And because of All About Entertainment 156, the artists that I was working with and the people that I came in contact with, I felt that they needed an outlet. They needed a space where they could talk about their wonderful works, that they wasn't getting the coverage that they deserved, and a lot of talent was being missed. So organically, Boom in Your Face podcast came as a platform for them to be able to come out, and not just the people that I directly worked with, but anyone that was willing to come out and share their story and talk about the journey. Because a lot of times we live in these bubbles and people think, oh, it's only me going through this, even though that's insane with millions of people, billions of people on the planet. But we still get in our head that way when we're doing our everyday life, that we're in it by ourselves sometimes in a situation. Mm-hmm. So that's how they are connected.
That's very helpful. Well, let's start with your Florida connection, because this is the Florida Fresh Mix. So yes. You are from Manhattan. You were raised in Queens. I actually spent 3 years in New York because I went to Columbia for law school. And my girlfriend is actually from the Bronx.
Okay, to boogie down.
There you go. There you go.
That's the New Yorker in you, to boogie down,
Yo,
no matter where you go.
She could not be prouder. She talks about it every day. And, I don't even want to get into arguments with her about what the best borough is. That's
everybody got their borough.
Yeah, that's a recipe for a breakup. So I need to.
But if we want to really, really be honest, Manhattan, I'm going to say, is not so much that it's the best of the best. It's just that Manhattan has everything that you would affiliate with New York City. It has the restaurants, the theaters, the arts, the craft, the schools.
Yeah.
And, that's where the money is. So, really, the goal, if you're in the boroughs, is to get to Manhattan, downtown by the water with a nice condo or something, or a townhouse uptown in Harlem. So,
look, all I know is that the 3 years I lived there, I was living Upper West Side. People were coming to see me. I wasn't going to see them.
Okay, so they boom in your face. See, I told you.
Boom in your face.
Boom in your face. As I'm telling you, the people, you should aspire to be able to afford it. Even if you don't live in Manhattan, your aspiration as a New Yorker should be, I feel personally, to be able to afford and have the option that, I don't want to be there, but I could be there if I wanted to.
Right. No, I hear you. And I actually have a lot of family in Queens. I love Queens. And don't get me wrong, I love the boroughs. Tell us, how did you end up coming from? Now, it's not a unique story to hear people going from New York to Florida. I mean, this is
Right.
like, it happens like every day, right? But
Correct.
what's your story? How'd you end up here and how long you been in Orlando?
Okay, so how long I've been in Orlando? I'm gonna say going on 3 years. How long I've been in Florida? About 8.
Oh, okay. Where else?
And I've been in Virginia. See, I've had to travel down. When I left New York, my goal was always to be in Florida. I always wanted to be in Florida. I knew that was going to be my destination. Even if I moved, even if I put homes, I should say, anywhere else, Florida is going to be one of my bases. New York, Florida, and California. So that's, I'm gonna want my kids to hear this because that's to clear that up. When I left New York, my mother and my grandmother, who of course how we migrate back and forth from the south to the north to the north to the south, they had left New York going back to Virginia, where my grandmother had started her journey of life, getting married and starting her family and stuff like that. And so when they left New York, there was no way personally I was going to be separate from my mother and my grandmother, knowing how important family is and more important how short of a time we have on this earth. So as soon as they left, goodbye, New York. So I went and moved to Virginia, and I wound up having 4 more children, because I have 5 children in total. I have one in Manhattan, my eldest daughter, Doreen, and then I have my other 4 children in Virginia. Virginia was very great to me. I was able to open up 3 restaurants. I was able.
By the way, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I know exactly how many children you have, because I know how much you talked about how they destroyed your body.
Yes, okay.
Why you were pregnant? Yo, I listened to it. I listened to that episode of your podcast. I was dying.
Yes.
But anyway, I just had to tell you so that you know that I did my homework. All right.
Okay.
I know you got 5 kids.
You're right there with me. Yes, because I will tell everybody about the science project I went through having those 5 children. So my son, it was so funny about that. The other day is my eldest son was asking my middle son, what do you think is mommy's main goal for us to show a sign of success? Now, this boy has worked at NASA. He's working at EA Sports, building programs for the computers and everything. And he said, oh, we got to get mommy an RV. I said, okay, well, I'm glad you said that, but don't forget about that condo in Manhattan. He said, no, you didn't say that to me. You just said the RV. So that's funny.
There you go. He's trying to manage your expectations.
Correct. He tried to scale it back because that's what the New York, Florida, and the California trifecta. I want them to remember that.
So you had the 5 babies in Virginia, and then so how we get from Virginia to Florida?
Well, this same son I'm talking about, when it came time for his senior year in high school, a lot of transition happened. Unfortunately, my mother had passed. My grandmother had passed a few years before that, but my mother had passed. So it was no longer anything for me emotionally to be attached to Virginia. And it was hard for me to be there because that's where my mother, my grandmother was there. So I wanted something new and afresh. So when he started picking schools, I said, do not pick a school here in Virginia because mom does not want to stay here no more. So we packed up and we came on down and got accepted to FIT, which is out in Melbourne. And here we went. And I tell you, when he came in that August, by that Thanksgiving, the whole family was moved because my husband was like, there's no way. My eldest daughter was like, Ma, you're not moving nowhere. I didn't have a plan. I had a prayer. Within 2 days of Thanksgiving, because I cooked a big Thanksgiving dinner, that Saturday, I packed everything in that house, put something in the shed, the rest on whatever could fit in the vehicles I had, and left. No plan, no destination besides knowing where I was going to. I know I was coming to Melbourne, but I didn't know where we was going to live or anything. Got a hotel on the beach because, I had to keep everybody cool and let them feel like they was on vacation, even though they was going through a major transition.
You literally let Jesus take the wheel. You literally.
Absolutely. And I absolutely live like that because in order for it to work, you really have to have the full faith in. You cannot, be second guessing. That's when you second guess, you be second slipping. So yes, within 2 days, I had a place. My family was cool. We've been down there ever since. And it's been wonderful here as well. But that's how I got to Florida.
All right, excellent. Oh, I love that. If you're second guessing, you're second slipping. Did you just make that up? Is that?
Yes, that
Oh
just
my
came.
God.
That came straight.
Oh my gosh, I love it. That was divinely inspired. I love it. All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna steal that 100%,
Go
and
ahead.
I'm not gonna give you any kind of copyright protection.
Okay, now we was talking about the law. You know, I have a few courses on corporate copyright infringements.
I love it. I love it.
I'll be coming to you to represent me against you. How about that?
no problem. Funny. You're gonna go up against the big dog.
Yeah, and use the same big dog to get him.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Now that we've established that you're a Floridian now, do you consider yourself a Floridian or a New Yorker now?
That's a good question as well. Right now, yes, I consider myself a Floridian. Mm-hmm. Yes, but a native New Yorker. I mean, I'm a woman of the world. How about that?
Okay, I like that. That's acceptable.
I'm a woman of the world, but not in the world. If you understand, some people understand what I'm saying.
Right. No, I hear you. Mm-hmm. All right. So now that I have a better understanding of the relationship between All About Entertainment 156, let's talk about the podcast second. I was thinking about, I originally was going to talk about it first, but now I want to hear about All About Entertainment. We're going to talk about music, folks. We're going to talk about artistry and the passion for music. I'm on the board of directors of a nonprofit called Guitars Over Guns, based out of Chicago and Miami, and recently opened up in LA. And it's all about teaching kids music after school, giving them mentors, teaching them how to write music, sing music, play instruments, rap, be in a band, all of that stuff, be part of a family, you know. So music is I can't think of a better tie that binds us or that inspires us. It allows us to express emotion. I don't care if these kids can't sing a lick. If they can find the words to express themselves rather than do something to hurt themselves or others, then I'm all for it. So tell me about, how did we get to the development of All About Entertainment? What's your mission? How did this come about? How long have you been doing it? Just give me the backstory. What's going on? Okay.
I'm going to give you the backstory. Then I'm going to revisit you talking about the foundation you work with, because I did something similar. The foundation for All About Entertainment is, I've told you, I've owned restaurants and food trucks, and I've done shows and things of that nature throughout my life. So it was just like a natural gravitational pull for me to go towards music. But what really catapulted me to it was when my youngest daughter wanted to go to school for recording arts. Mm-hmm. And when she went to school for recording arts, I said, listen, I'm going to have to learn the law on music business more thoroughly so I can represent you well.
Because we get ripped off constantly. And by we, I don't mean just Black folks, but basically all artists. Artists, yes, but, exactly. Yeah. I understand what you're saying.
So I went back to school, Gerard. I went back to school for music business and then also for instructional design and technology for my master's. And while I was going, I was meeting so many great artists at the school at Full Sail. I must say Full Sail, shout out to y'all. They didn't have somewhere to put their energies towards, far as knowing how to get in front of people, how to get their music out. And so I said, listen, I have all the skill sets. Let me start helping them. So it was not even about me wanting to have a business or a record label. It was more about I'm always of service. So if I can help you, then it makes sense to me, then I'm going to generate and create it. Mm-hmm. And so that's how organically it became. So as I started meeting them, I started doing showcases once a month in Melbourne, putting on big shows so they get the stage presence, they'll know how to, perform their music, how to interact, engage our audience, and all those type of things. And then, of course, I had the food piece. So I had all the catering done. I had the tents. I know how to bring vendors in. And that's how All About Entertainment got started.
What kind of food are we talking? You mentioned food trucks. What kind of food are we talking? And please, I'm not ready to eat dinner yet, so I don't want to get too hungry. So I might regret asking you this, but what are we grubbing on if I'm hanging out with Mary? What am I eating?
It's all about your taste, but what you're going to start with is barbecue, because since I was in the South, from my Southern cooking, when I opened the restaurant, I had to do a lot of barbecue. And the odd piece, the name of the company was Rib Rolls and Cheesecake, and it still exists because, like I said, that's another little subset. I make over 300 different flavors of cheesecake. So
What?
yes. And
Really?
that's just, yes, I'm being modest, but I just had to,
Wow.
I had to stop writing them down.
How's your key lime pie? You ever had key lime pie down in Key West?
Yes, I have had
How
it.
does yours stand up? Does it stand up to the pressure?
Well, I'm gonna put it to you this way. When I was in Virginia, I did get invited to put it out there in Sam's Club. I did get an offer of, was
Wow.
I interested in maybe thinking of going that route?
Okay, so you're not playing. You're the real
Yeah.
deal. All right. 300 flavors. And how many of these did you come up with yourself?
I would say at least half of them.
That's unbelievable. Well, you've got more talents than I was prepared for. All right.
That's just saying in the blessing.
Okay. So now you started All About Entertainment basically to give back, not necessarily as a profit-making venture, but eventually, you figure out a way to make a living out of doing something that gives back and something that you love, right? Correct. So you mentioned that your daughter wanted to pursue a music background, but did you have a particular love of music, or was it your daughter that really was the impetus for it, or she gave you an excuse to follow your own passion?
Go back, correct. That's the best way to put it, Gerard, because I grew up with music like most of us. My mother loved, her passion was singing. And she had me take the lessons. Anything artistic I had to do. I was playing the piano. I was dancing. I had the vocalises with my vocal coach. So yes, entertainment was always a part of me. And my daughter rekindled it, had me reopen that door to help her in her way. But she is phenomenal. She's a producer, mixer. She can do it all, from putting the beat together to organizing and composition. So yes.
Oh, so she's more a behind the scenes creative as opposed to like a sing. Does she sing? Does she rap? Does she do any of that stuff?
All the above. That's
Oh, okay.
Say Jada Sound. Yes, y'all check her out. She does all of that. She's in Canada right now, but she does audio engineering as well. So I mean, yeah, she's very gifted and talented. So
okay, so let me ask you this. So if I'm someone that's coming to All About Entertainment to help me, who am I?
You are an artist that's open and willing to take in advice, guidance, and be able to know when true support is coming your way. That's who you are. You are going to be the one to get sculpted into the greatest you can be in your artistry, no matter what it is. I'm not trying to change who you are, but I'm going to help you hone it in to be able to reach a broad audience. So, I mean, anything that, that you may have apprehension about, we're going to work through it. But the key thing in that whole relationship is you have to trust me that that's where I'm going to take you. Else I can't work with you. If you don't trust the process, I can't work with you at all, because I need to be able to trust you if we go into a conference with contracts and you understand this fully what I'm talking about, and there's money on that table that looks phenomenal, but the situation will not be beneficial for the artist. They have to trust that I'm telling them that this is not going to be ideal for you spiritually inside of it. The money might look good, but you're going to wilter away inside if you go this route with these people.
What I'm hearing, and this is your business, so I encourage you to correct me if I'm wrong about anything I'm about to say. But what I'm hearing from you is, I can imagine a million situations where all I've got is my talent, right? All I know is that I can write the hell out of a song, I can sing the hell out of a song, I can play an instrument, whatever my talent is, but I don't know anything about how to get it out there, or the music business, or how to make a living from it. I don't know anything. All I know is my talent. That's it. I don't know anything about economics. I don't know anything about business. That's all I know. And it sounds like what you're providing me as an artist is like a turnkey solution to give me the best mentorship and understanding of the industry from the jump, so that I can avoid, a lot of the mistakes that artists have made, throughout the years. And hopefully I don't have to repeat those by collaborating with All About Entertainment. Am I in the ballpark?
You hit it out the ballpark, because you're saying exactly what it is that I'm talking about, because exactly that. An artist should be able to focus on their art, but however, you do still need to know some of your business. You do need to know your business, but you should be able to trust someone, which is a hard thing to do, especially when you're talking about dollars and cents. So I understand that too. So that's the whole point of a relationship. And that's what I like to build. I like to build relationships with my artists that you know who I am and what I'm about, that you don't have that worry and concern, and you can really be your full out self inside of your craft, than to have to second guess and worry about the behind the scenes stuff.
So now I'm going to give you a braggadocious moment. Okay, you ready? Because it's going to start off by me playing devil's advocate and asking you a rude question. Okay. Like someone who doesn't believe in you. Okay.
All right.
And then you get to come at me. You talk about yourself. Okay. So look, I'm an artist. Look, I can pick anybody I want. Look, I don't know what makes you qualified to help me. I'm talented. What makes you qualified to help me?
Because in the moments that you will doubt yourself, I will believe in you more than you believe in yourself. I will go further and longer than you can. If you think you're in that studio for 10 hours, I'm out there on the street 24 hours, making sure I'm representing you in the best way. But not only that, I'm not only just representing you, I'm representing us, because it's a partnership in this. And so when you get into that moment where you feel that you don't like the situation you're in, I'm going to take you out of it. I'm going to prevent you from even getting into situations that you don't want to be in, because that's where I am the bumper for that, the go-between, that you don't be put into precarious situations and around people that are not of like mind with you or don't understand your artistry and try to change you instead of embellish you.
Are we in church? Because I just heard someone preach.
Well, this is the true what it is.
I loved the like-mindedness portion of it, because being an artist is so complicated, because, on the one hand, it's like, you want to stay true to your vision and your artistry. At the same time, someone can help you maintain what makes you unique, but tweak it to have more commercial appeal and make more money, make more, because, you want to make a living. And it's that delicate balance, I would say, is a challenge to figure out, but you got to have the relationship with the artist. And it's all based on trust, honesty, and competence. But hey, look, that I love that pep talk. I'd buy
it. Well, see, that's wonderful, because it's not even a sales pitch; it's just a true what you're getting. And so that's what I live by and breathe by. And believe me, I've walked away from many artists that are, gifted beyond what you would even believe. But attitude and trust is everything for me. And if I can't trust you, because I have to trust you as well. And if I can't trust you inside of this relationship, I'll pass.
I hear you. And I truly believe you when it comes to the trust issue, after having listened to your podcasts and even just your responses to these questions now. I don't see any lying in you. And I think that, what you see is what you get, and you're a straight shooter, and it just comes across so blatantly. And I love it. So speaking of your podcast, you started the podcast during the pandemic, and for everyone, remember, it's Boom in Your Face. I love the name of this podcast. Now, first of all, how did you come up with the name? I know that there are several. It's gotten some double meanings, maybe triple meanings. But how did you come up with the name Boom in Your Face, and what does it mean to you?
Well, Boom in Your Face, like you said, it has double and triple meanings. You're absolutely right. The first one was boom, thinking about the mic, and boom, the music. Because the music, I wanted the artists to be able to put their music right in your face, because that's where you're going to hear it. Right there, you want to hear that beat driven to give it to you. So that's that boom in your face on that level. But getting even to a deeper level, the boom in your face is a lot of times in this world, we're going through life with a different expectation than what the reality is. And so I want to know the boom in your face moment for a lot of people, that they thought life was going this way, or a person or a situation was one way, and it was totally different, a whole nother direction it had to go. So, you could think about this in everyday living. I know in the last hour, you could think of something that was going one way and boom in your face and went a different way, like 4 o'clock to 4:20. I'm not going to say nothing else.
I can also picture someone saying something to you and you
Mhm.
saying boom in your face to them as a reality check. Like,
Correct. Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
like,
Because it's so many. Go ahead.
well, like, not like, look, come on, son, or
That's
you're an
right.
idiot, or did you really think about this? You know what? You don't want to
That's
offend somebody, so
exactly.
just boom in your face.
That's right. Exactly. And I do it all the time. Trust me.
I love it. I'm a cop that too. I'm a cop that.
Okay, go ahead. We're
I'm
gonna
gonna
get a
have to
whole bunch of t-shirts and all kind of stuff, hats and whistles and things,
Exactly.
commercials.
I will give you credit for the boom in your face, so don't worry about that.
I appreciate that.
You started the Boom in Your Face podcast during the pandemic. So why was that? Was it boredom because you had extra time? Is this something you always wanted to do and now you had time to do it? Like what caused you to actually take the step?
What caused me to actually take that final step was because of being locked down. It slowed me down, right? Like it slowed everybody in the world down. And it forced me to start going into doing things that I had on that list. And I said, what better way while everybody's feeling isolated and at home to connect with the world and let the artists, that the independent artist that really doesn't get heard the same way that a mainstream artist will get heard. Let me be able to have a conduit that I can start a podcast and let them start talking and really sharing, because just because you're independent artist or you don't get the airplay does not take away from your greatness. Because I mean, on my show, I've have some phenomenal artists that come through. And I don't just interview artists, music artists. I have virtual, visual artists, gamers. I have a diverse type of audience that I speak to. Like I said, if you want to be heard, I'm willing to let you be heard.
Okay. For you to work with an artist is a prerequisite that you have to actually like their music?
No.
Okay. All right.
No. And I say that I do need to believe in what you're doing. Far as you really are into whatever craftsmanship you're into. But it's not for me to judge how another person needs to express their emotions when it's really about emotions or express their artistry. Mm-hmm. That's not where I get locked into it. I get locked into the fact that you're passionate about the career you're choosing and the mission that you want to go on and your vision. I'm more into your vision than into your actual profanity. I got to say that because I have to have it clean. I'm sorry. In order for me to really hear you, that's my personal preference. I need to hear the clean version of whatever you're doing. And you know, the ironic thing about it too, Gerard, is that even the people that I've interviewed that have a little racy music, and you know, it's a whole audience out there we know that loves it, and there's nothing wrong with it. They all have something that is deeper. That the best record that they ever made is the clean ones. Mm-hmm. And they always tell me, yes, you know, because that's when I was in this space in my life and I was sitting down and I was trying to express this position or experience they was having. But I pick it up right away.
Well, you know, I used to always say that, you know, sometimes cuss words are necessary to express a certain emotion. But a lot of times, and I think it's happening more and more often, they're just filler to fill in, you know, lack of taking an extra moment to figure out the right word that doesn't have to be a cuss word.
Right.
But and that word will actually probably be more precise in expressing that emotion. So it's tricky, but you can, come on, girl, you could tell when someone's just cussing just to cuss or because they're being lazy. Right. But sometimes they cuss because they're putting emphasis on something. And there's really just no other word for it.
Correct.
You know,
and I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. No, seriously, because I mean, it's sometimes you could be so devastated in your life by an experience with a group, a person, a situation that you have been in such a dark place that there's no word other than some type of profanity that you have to say to get out of that. And I can understand that because we've all been there. We've all experienced that kind of depth. If you haven't, God bless you. You're one of the perfect people. But most of us have, at one point or another, have experienced something very devastating, unfortunately. And in that, sometimes it's no other outlet but that. And I get that. Just like you're saying, to use it as another language, now that's something totally different.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I mean, to each their own. There's people out there, like I said, that love it. And if that's what you love, that's fine.
Right. Now, I would have naturally assumed that, most of the artists that you deal with are, either rappers or R&B or, some kind of urban, have some kind of urban influence on their music. But I also know that you have a guest that now has a TV show on the Country Channel. So my question is, what kind of genres of music are most prominently featured by the guests on your podcast, the people you work with All About Entertainment? What kind of music is most prominent? And then are you willing to take on anybody? I mean, that Country Channel thing took me aback a little bit, but I was like, all right, you go, Mary. All right.
You're talking about Jessie. And she's such a beautiful spirit. She's a country singer. She's here in Florida, actually, but she lives in Nashville for her work. So she stays up there, to get her work in. But she's so deserving of this opportunity that she has.
What's her last name?
Humble Heart Ritter. Jessie Ritter.
Jessie Ritter. Okay.
Mm-hmm. She has such a humbling heart. And that's what attracts me to the guests that I deal with. More so than anything is really the space that you're in. If you are open and a caring person and you're not trying to be malicious towards people. See, that's important for me too.
Well, I know that positivity and or whether you want to call it positivity or you don't tolerate hate on your podcast, right?
Absolutely not.
Or anything related to that. So, which I love. So what is the spectrum of the type of music that you deal with, whether on the podcast or in All About Entertainment?
Blues, jazz. There isn't a genre I would say I will not do. I've done rock. I have a few rock artists on there. Of course, Christian gospel. So I have the spectrum. I do have the spectrum. And like I said, each artist in their own right are great artists. Now, I don't have no fillers in there. I'll say it that way. Everyone that I've interviewed has real talent. They really do. And I can see them all aspiring and being known somewhere down the road in their own celebrity because they're gifted.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And I know we just referenced hatred a little bit ago. And I guess what confused me, I need you to enlighten me on this because I'm confused. I know you make it a point to not feature any kind of hatred on your podcast. But in my mind, I'm like, okay, hate speech and things like that is usually related to something political. Although you recently had an episode about Roe v. Wade.
Right.
But, most of your podcast is about music. And I don't associate hate speech with music very often. I mostly associate it with political issues. And since your podcast isn't a political podcast, why do you feel the need to affirmatively say, okay, just no hate on this podcast? I mean, is there hate in music?
As citizens of this universe, we should always be coming towards each other with positivity. And I don't want to be a conduit to perpetuate any kind of hate or negative thoughts and feelings into anyone's mind. I want everyone to be of positivity and light. So that way we could be our best selves when we confront each other and try to be open to understand other people's point of views, because we can have a difference of opinion and not have to hate each other because we have difference of opinions. We can agree to disagree and keep moving. It's always been, for the onset, no hate.
Right.
And if I even feel that someone is trying to take it into a negative kind of tone or a negative space, I'm bringing them right up out of that because, like I said, I'm not going to be supportive of that. That's not what represents me. So I don't want to put something that's not authentically true to what I live and breathe and want to promote.
Now, to be clear and to be fair to you, I don't think you mean hate means disagreement. I think you actually enjoy disagreement and you love to have a good conversation. You love to have, responsible banter and an exchange of ideas. And even if it turns out, you might not be able to really convince someone that you're right, especially if they have long held views. But but at least you can, even if you get to the point where you listen to each other and agree to disagree, I see that as success.
That's right.
Success, because at least you've talked through it in a civil way.
Correct.
So yeah, but
which we should be able to do.
Right, exactly. But hate speech is a bridge too far, and I respect your I respect your right to say whatever you want, but you have to respect my right to not want to hear it in my presence.
Correct. That's right. And you just should be respectful of others. And so if that's the case, then, we'll be able to have a conversation, right? Just like you're saying, we'll be able to debate. We'll be able to have controversy, but in a respectful way. That's how we get results. If you really are trying to convince me of something that you may be adamant about, I need to hear you. And I'm not going to hear you if we're at each other in a negative way. I'm not going to be open no more. And nor will you if I'm in that way, because we're not listening.
Right. 100%. Going back to your background, I just want to make sure that I drive home the fact that you've got more experience than we've even touched upon. You've been an entrepreneur, so you've always been interested in entertainment, and that's been reflected in, you've owned restaurants and you would invite artists to play music at those restaurants. You've had live events. It wasn't like your daughter came out and was like, "Oh, I want to be in music." You're like, "Oh, okay, all right, yeah." All of a sudden, I'm into music now. Like you have a history of doing that. Help me help you drive this point home about how much you love music and the experience you had that led you up to this point.
Okay, I'm going to give you an example from way back when my kids were little. And when you was talking about your foundation that you work with the guitars. Well, in their elementary school, they only had the recorders, if you're familiar with that. That was the instrument.
I used to make fun of her, but...
Okay, exactly. And when my child came home with that recorder and said this was from the band, I was like, okay, no, that's not going to work for me. So I went up to investigate, and it was like, no, Miss Kearney, we only have these recorders. That's all the budget allowed. So I'm a person that I'm proactive, and if I feel in something, I'm going to put it into action. So what I did was I worked along with the school staff and some of the parents, and we put together a concert, a jazz concert for 8 hours to raise funds for the kids at the school, at the elementary school. And they went from, I want to say maybe 100 recorders to over 180 piece band with full on instruments, drums, guitars.
Wow.
Yes. Saxophones, trumpets. Yes, that's what happened. So, me always wanting to help others and music be attached to it has always been my process. So I'm more of a service type of person. I mean, it's hard for me to really even talk about all my accolades because I'm not a person that, really buys into it, because it seems so unrealistic. When I really go down a list of things I've done and do and could put on the wall, it just sounds unrealistic. But it's true. I lived it. I'm going to have to put it in the book now. I'm going to have to put it in the book.
Hey, add that to your vision board, yo.
Yeah, I'm just not one. I'm not a boasting kind of person. I just do what I do, and that's it. And they just have to.
Look, I used to always tell my dad, because he's always accused me of being braggadocious, conceited, whatever. I said, Poppy. I call him Poppy. I said, Poppy, it ain't bragging if it's true.
Right. Well, okay. I guess so. I got to get that locked in.
And it's all about tone too. You gotta have a tone, Right. But there's nothing wrong with being confident, and as long as you can back it up, we need more of that. I say. So what is the future of the Boom in Your Face podcast? I mean, I know that you started it during the pandemic. The pandemic has somewhat, in the minds of most people, as let's just say, I don't like to say the pandemic's over, because that would be idiotic to say, but it's simmered down. It's right. People have gotten comfortable with it. Yeah, it's starting to, marinate a little bit, but are you still as motivated as before to keep it going? Or is it going to keep going indefinitely? What's the future of the podcast?
Well, yes, it will still continue. And the future of the podcast, ultimately, I want to do a show, a TV show. So right now, I'm just starting to really get into the video podcast, a portion of it. And because I have all this hours and hours and hours of video podcasts. And let me start putting that up. So I'm doing the editing. See, I do that too. I edit, script, all of it. So yes.
You don't depend on anybody. Okay.
No, it's not that I don't depend on anyone. It's just that I'm gonna get it done thank the Lord he gave me these gifts. I'm gonna get it done if I need to. And if someone fits into that space that can help me, that's fine. But if not, I'll learn and do it myself.
Right. I hear
so, you know what I mean? One pony's not gonna stop my show. So yes. So yes, I could do all of the above as well. I could go into a studio with you and rearrange some stuff, but I leave that to my baby.
What's your time split between All About Entertainment and Boom in Your Face?
I want to say 60-40.
Okay. All right. You're definitely serious about continuing the podcast. It sounds like a very healthy balance. I know for me personally, the podcasting is like, it's like my medicine. It's like, it just like, no matter what is happening in my life, in my day, my week, whatever, I get on this mic, I talk to wonderful people like you, and it just gets me re-energized and refocused.
Yes. It is empowering. It is empowering to hear people. And that's what I love about it, is because you hear people's stories and you're surprised to a certain degree on how similar. But see, that's the whole point too. Because people think, oh, I'm so different, I'm this, that, and the other. No, we're very similar. Our storylines, we all want to have, well, people that are on positivity, right? They all want to have the family, the love, the success. And they all go through trials and tribulations, right? So you can learn from someone if you're willing to listen.
That's exactly right. Okay, so wow, this has been great. And but before we go, I just wanted to ask you about what's going on with your son and NASA. I have to ask.
Well, my son, his first job out of his master's program was at NASA. He was working on the rovers on Mars, as far as I could say. You know, he said you got to be covert or secret, whatever. But
wait,
anyway,
what? He was working on the rovers on Mars.
Correct.
I've seen them.
At 22.
Okay, so that's all he did. That's it. I mean, he didn't do real work.
He did the 3D. He did the 3D sketches and the formations of it. Mm-hmm.
That is unbelievable.
Yes, but the thing about it was the ideal, perfect job for him. Only it was too soon, because being that he is young, you know, is a more of a older person's position. You know what I mean? The people around him, the culture's different. So in order to challenge himself, he went and switched over to EA Sports. So now, you know, Call of Duty, all things, PlayStation, all those type of things.
Oh my gosh, he's been living the dream.
He's living the dream, really.
And look,
really.
Is he single?
Yes, he is.
Oh
single,
my God!
ladies.
Oh well, listen. I know
single.
I know my girl's gonna hear this, but I'm not. How old is he?
Right now, he's 26.
Okay, so I know my girl's gonna hear this, but if I were 26 and I'm 20 years above that, if I were 26, I would stay single and just ride that NASA EA Sports experience till the wheels fall off. And
that's right.
What better first date conversation can be that?
Exactly.
He's got a million great opening lines.
Exactly right. So I said, son, listen, don't worry about it. He's very driven and very into his business. Trust me. Wow. He's focused. And that's what it takes, dedication.
I am so proud of him, and I'm proud of you for raising him. That is so inspirational. That is so amazing. Mm-hmm. Wow, you must be a really proud mama. And not to take away from your other children, but we don't have time to go through all five. This is a short show.
It's a short show, but we're going to give all of them a shout out, because my eldest daughter has her lash line for ladies' lashes. So anybody that's out there, any woman that wants some lashes on her eyes, for ladies' lashes, y'all look that up.
Let's get into the plugs. You give me websites. You give me whatever. How to follow your kids. You tell me what they do. This is your time. This is a segue into what I was going to do anyway. So go ahead.
Okay, there you go. Like forladieslashes.com is how you get your products on that. Mm-hmm. My other son, Cookie Goham, he's a gamer. He's in the top 2 to 5% in the US.
Oh my gosh, I'm jealous.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he's in his master's program right now for game design. He's going to be designing some games as well.
Oh my gosh, I'm doing it. I picked up my profession. All right, what else? I'm getting depressed. I'm getting depressed. Hurry it up.
My other daughter, I told you, Jada Sound. You can look her up, jadasound.com for her music. Any platform. You go to my website, you'll see All About Entertainment or Boom in Your Face podcast. You go there, and you can get linked up to all the artists that I'm talking about. My daughter's at the top of the list, of course.
Now, do her songs have cuss words in them?
Some of them do.
Do you ever have to pull her aside and be like, listen, child?
Only when it's being played for me, she knows, you know.
So who else are we missing? I don't want to forget anybody.
My baby boy, he's 14. He's still a little pup. So he's coming up. He's a great artist as well. So yes, artistry has been in the family. It's all about entertainment. Now, I will tell you this, that we're working collaboratively on building a game as a family.
Okay, what kind of game?
It's a family game. It's a game for inspiration. It's a game to teach people how to interact, that you're not in this world alone, and to prevent suicide. So it's a combination. It's a purposeful game, and it's called Don't Walk Alone.
Well, we
and that was inspired from my daughter's song.
Oh, wow. Well, we need that these days more than ever, particularly with everything what people went through during the pandemic and the solitude and, and, you know, having to not just, you know, feeling like they might want to consider taking their own life, but having loved ones take their own lives around them. So it's like,
right.
We need that more than ever. And we're still dealing with the lingering effects of that. So more power to you. Just go get that patented right away, because now it's on blast. So you gotta now it's in the public domain. You gotta get that patented.
Yes.
Oh yeah. So
all right, I'm gonna have you draw up the paperwork.
Well, I got my homegirl who's my go-to IP attorney. I'll hook you up whenever you want. You just shoot an email. I got you. She's great. So where can people find you and follow you on social media?
They can find me, of course, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Boom in Your Face Podcast on all platforms. Okay. All the way. As soon as you see it, you'll see boom, boom, boom on a few of them. Come right on up. That's me. You have to see Boom in Your Face and Mary Kearney, and you know that's me. Website is allaboutentertainment.com.
All right. Excellent. And do you have any events or anything else coming up that you wanted to promote while you're here with me on the mic?
Well, I will be presenting an award at the Tri-City Hip Hop Award Show in Georgia next month.
Oh, okay.
So that'll be a great moment for me to meet a lot of the artists that I've interviewed. So they're getting awards. The award-winning artists I have on my show.
That's great.
Yeah, so I love to see them shine. It's not even about me. I'm gonna be so happy to give them the awards that they have earned in their craft.
Are these nominees and you don't know who won yet, or you already know that they won?
They're nominees.
And what category?
But I know they won.
What category?
Okay, I have one that's been nominated for DJ of the Year as a female, DJ Breezy. I have 2 rap artists, Slim and also Rod, that are for Rappers of the Year and Album of the Year awards. Then there's several other people, and y'all forgive me if I didn't mention your names. You know who you are, and you're great at it. But there's quite a few, and then there's a few gospel artists that have awards coming up. It's also in the genre. So see, we're talking about different genres. Yes, different genres.
Wow.
That I interview. Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to get a link to the awards show and include it in the show notes so that people can check it out and hopefully look up the winners. When do we get the results? When's the actual
August
ceremony?
20th is the actual ceremony.
Okay, so it's coming up. All right. No, that's great. That's icing on the cake at the end of this interview. That's beautiful. I love it. All right. So listen, I've thoroughly enjoyed this. I expected much, but you delivered more. And so
I appreciate that.
I love when that happens in these interviews, especially when you feel like you're just talking to family. You just, we're sitting across the dinner table and just chatting it up. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate your time. And thanks so much for the wonderful nuggets of insight and inspiration. I can't wait to listen back to this because there are definitely some quotes in there that I'm going to have to cop myself.
Okay, that's fine. It's out there for you. How about that? It's out there for the world. Y'all use it and be empowered by them.
All right.
Pass it on.
All right.
But thank you for having me on the show. I enjoyed talking with you as well. I mean, it has been a comfortable space. And it's always great when you're talking to someone and you can feel the energy of positivity circulating and then the spirit in the moment.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it. I appreciate you. You have a great day now. So if you're like me, you listened to that interview and you got a lot of wonderful nuggets, including a lot of laughter and good vibes from our guest. I mean, Mary, she's an inspiration. I mean, she is a force to not be reckoned with. and she's definitely doing her thing, but she does it with such conviction and sincerity. And I said it during the interview, but I just don't see any lying in her. She's the real deal. And I love that. And she dropped so many nuggets. It's hard for me to pull exactly what I want to talk about, but let's take one. My favorite. She said, if you're second guessing, you're second slipping. And when she said that, I had to ask her, like, did you just think of that? Because I thought it was so profound. And what I took from that, after having thought about it a lot, is you can think about it two different ways. And sometimes it's hard to decide which way should pull you further, right? So if you're second guessing, you're second slipping, it's like, don't doubt yourself. You know, if you're going to go for it, go for it. Now, the reason I say it pulls you in two different directions, because there might be a part of you that says, hey, look, don't be rash. And I don't think that those two feelings are mutually exclusive at all. The reason I believe so profoundly in what she said, if you're second guessing, you're second slipping, is because you got to do it the right way. It's not just a soundbite, it's a process. So if you have doubts, like I've always said to people, go with what your gut tells you to do. And your gut, sometimes more than your brain, sometimes more than your heart, your gut will tell you whether a decision is the right one or the wrong one to take that chance. Once you make that final decision to take that leap based on what your gut tells you to do, don't second guess it. Throw your all into it. And that's what I take from, if you're second guessing, you're second slipping. Because if you make that final decision based on what your gut tells you to do, which means that that's what the universe tells you to do, that's what your subconscious wants you to do, that's what your soul wants you to do, and you still continue to second guess yourself, you're going to severely limit your ability to succeed. That is my firm belief. It might be a risk, but your gut will have taken that risk into account. Your gut is one of the quickest calculators that God has ever given us. It calculates everything from a cost-benefit analysis automatically, and it tells you what you feel that you should do. And that's the brilliance of your gut instinct. So once you've made that decision, throw everything behind it and don't look back. And you know what? If you lose, there's another day and you will have learned something from it. It kind of reminds me of my interview with Josh Zeppes, which was an amazing interview. It was episode 8 of the podcast, based on my recollection, where he talked about failure doesn't exist. The way he explained it was so brilliant to me. And it really put into words something that I've always believed, that we should learn from our failures. And we shouldn't be afraid of failure, because I think the fear of failure is what prevents us from actually doing what we want to do, or taking that leap to find how we can live a life that we love, or doing something that we love. So just remember that there is no such thing as failure. And the other thing I would just mention is that I thought it was pretty cool the way she said that, you know, she doesn't have to really necessarily like an artist's music in order for her to represent them. She just has to believe in them and their vision and what they're doing. I mean, she's representing artists from, you know, rap and R&B to country, right? And they're all doing big things. So she must be doing something right. But it kind of reminds me of the fact that she doesn't necessarily like the music, but she believes in the person. You know, as an attorney, it reminds me of, like, look, even a person accused of the most horrific crime deserves to have representation, right? And giving someone a shot based on their conviction that they're in the right, that, you know, nobody understands my art except for me. If she believes, and again, I think this goes to the gut feeling, if she believes in her gut that this person believes in what they're doing and their vision for it, and she sees progress, especially if that person is serious about putting in the work, I believe that Mary will pick that person up, even if she doesn't really necessarily like their music at the time, but she sees something in them. So everybody deserves a shot if they have the talent and they have the vision and they have the work ethic. And I think that that's what Mary's there for. That's my fresh take. All right. So thank you for listening in yet again. I look forward to you tuning in to the next episode of the Fresh Mix Podcast. Boom in your face. For details and show notes about today's show and our guests, go to freshmixpodcast.com. I'd really love your feedback, both on today's guest and on my fresh take. The Florida Podcast Network has a closed Facebook group exclusively for superfans of their shows, like Florida's Fresh Mix. So we all look forward to hanging out in there with you. Just search for FPN Insiders on Facebook to leave us comments, get early scoops, contests, and other special treats. Or you can just complain about how Florida is so oppressively hot and humid in the summer. But you know what? This is the time where I usually complain about Florida. I'm going to give Florida some props. Because yes, it is oppressively hot. It is oppressively humid. That is true. But after having lived in New York, Boston, and wait for it, Sweden, okay? I know what real cold is, okay? When I was in Sweden, it was cold in the summer. I think there were only 2 days in the summer I could wear a t-shirt. So I made a vow when I came back to Sweden, I'm never gonna complain about how hot it is in Florida, ever. That's a promise I made to myself, and I'm sticking to it. And I'll preach that from the rooftops to anyone that complains how hot it is in the summer. Believe that, all right? So be sure to visit all the great shows on the Florida Podcast Network. You can find them at floridapodcastnetwork.com. Keep catching Who's Fresh in the Florida Mix with Florida's Fresh Mix Podcast.
Flintstone Media has been the digital messaging bedrock of several brands and businesses, serving as a highly resourceful podcast production house and consultancy firm for over 6 years. Visit flintstonemedia.com for podcast samples. From show development and setup through recording and distribution, work with a leader in the industry and add a new podcast to your brand's content offerings. That's flintstonemedia.com.